Greetings, greetings, greetings. You are watching us now on the M1 Network, headquartered in Memphis, Tennessee. And this is Black Thought, and I'm your host, Dr. Hutchinson. Glad to be on the airways in this way. Let me do some quick housekeeping because some of you are trying to figure out who is this guy that we're listening to and watching. Well, if you go to my website, noelhutchinson.com, that's spelled NOELHUTCHINSON.com. You will hear more about me. You'll find out that I'm the pastor of a New Work, Greater Works Fellowship here in Memphis. I've written books, done other things, but that's enough about me. I want to get to the subject matter at hand. Two things coming from the same place. We have to look at the recent legislative session in Nashville, Tennessee. Matter of fact, I'm now looking in front of me at the Commercial Appeal, Memphis's daily newspaper, or the first daily newspaper. We have the helmsman now. And they cite that the school voucher bill might only affect Nashville and Shelby County families. Let me kind of couch this. School voucher bill. Right now, there is a bill. I believe the House version already passed, so now the Senate is gearing up for their version, and then they match the two, and then it becomes law. Here's what's going on. There's a proposal to take funding from public education and make it possible for people, or for families, for young people to take that voucher and then go and utilize it in private schools. So the potential of this bill can be greatly devastating. First of all, why are they only targeting the two most populous counties in the state of Tennessee? And I'm not entirely sure of the demographics of the Nashville public school system, but I would dare to think that their demographics is probably heavily minority, maybe not so much as SCS here in Shelby County, but it is heavily minority. So it's almost like you're taking from the poor to give to the rich. Or as the OJ said way back in the day, the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. Because here's what happens. Money that would normally go to students in the school system now go to fund private education. And then number two, that private education may not fully be funded. So the voucher may only cover a portion of that education, and then the student and their families would have to come up with the rest. Here's the other part of that. Now private schools can cherry pick the best and the brightest. So I know we use this as just the overall blanket, but you get the point. In all of this, Pookie and Ray Ray gonna be left behind. And we're now setting up the educational industrial complex to be the funnel for the prison industrial complex even more so. So don't sleep. These things are orchestrated, and this is a very bad idea. And if it's that good, why not do this for the entire state? Why only target two areas? And really, your gun is pointed toward Shelby County. All right, let me add the second piece. There's a House bill that just passed that now makes it a crime for persons so inclined or organizations so inclined to do voter registration that if they have quote unquote misfiled registration forms or improperly filled out voter registration forms, that they can be fined, they can be stamped with a Class A misdemeanor, and the fine can go up to $10,000. Now, if you've seen a voter registration form, it's easy, if you're not paying close attention, to put something in the wrong place. And that can constitute an improper misfiling. So think about it. Entities like the Black Voter Project, Up the Vote 901, NAACP, the Deltas, other Greek organizations, other organizations in this city can now be targeted for misdemeanors because of quote-unquote improperly filled out voter registration forms. And when you read the article that was published in the New York Times that cites this, now think about what I just said. The New York Times, a public publication of record, comes down to Tennessee to look at what we're doing, and they see the impropriety in this bill. And it was cited that a lot of this, in terms of the bill itself, was generated by what was happening in terms of increased voter registration. Where? Shelby County, Tennessee, which just so happens to have in it the city of Memphis. These things are not accidental. And understand what's happening in Nashville. Under the last administration, even though the Republicans had a solid majority, they had enough infighting and enough things going on with them that a lot of the things that they wanted to execute that could cause a lot of damage, they were unable to do. But now they have seemingly coalesced, and now they are targeting certain things. And they're emboldened to do it because of some of the stances of our new Governor Bill Lee. So now here we are. The Voting Rights Act, due to the Supreme Court, got watered down. And the bottom line was, before the Supreme Court did what it did about 2 or 3 years ago, when there were provisions that came up, when states wanted to make modifications, they would have to run those modifications by the Justice Department in advance to see if what they were doing went against the spirit of the Voting Rights Act. But now they don't have to do that anymore. So now states like Texas and North Carolina and now Tennessee come up with their own laws. And what they say is, we know the law may not be right, but we're willing to litigate it on the back end. And while it's in litigation, it'll still be law and will still have the desired effect. So here we are. Let me say this to you. There are those of you, and I don't know why people do this. You know, people get bold when they're on social media. People get bold when they're talking amongst their friends, and they say stuff like, you know, if I was back there in the civil rights movement, I wouldn't have been passive. If somebody had done some of those things to me, I'd have stood up. If I was back in slavery, I wouldn't let massa crack the whip on me. I would have done something. Well, guess what, big talker? You have an opportunity right now, with all of the stuff going on, to get past the talking stage and do all those wonderful things you said, because the situation is getting crucial amongst our people. Here's your chance, big talker. You see these bills coming down the pike. You see the general tenor of how our nation is. You see how even after what's been revealed in the Mueller report, that there are those who still say, well, our president was not judged to be involved in collusion, so we need to leave this alone. Even after all of the things that came out in the report, even after The report basically says if it were not for the well-thinking persons that went against the dictates of the president, he probably would have been guilty of collusion and obstruction. So think about what I'm saying. Get involved. Talk to your representatives. Let them know how you feel. Talk to your governor. There are ways, both through phone calls, through emails. There are ways also through social media to connect with all of these elected officials and let them know your displeasure. If you know lobbyists, tell your lobbyists to get involved. But we must not sleep at some of these things that are going on. And there are even more pernicious things coming down the pipe to kind of roll back the clock. In the upcoming days and weeks, already started talking to some of them. They're in and out of session, but I want to say to our elected officials, we need you to come on this show and others and explain to us all of what's going on up in Nashville so we can start to coalesce our forces to deal with some of this. Yes, the Republicans have a super majority in this state, but yes, we need to be vigilant because this voucher bill, mark my words, is going to gut public education. You know what's so sad about it? I'm going to get in trouble for this. What's so sad about it is you have some black folk. You even have some of my fellow clergy that applaud and say we need these vouchers because we need people to have options. I'm not against options, but you have to see the bigger picture and see how this affects everybody. So let me get this right. You're in a ship. There are a couple of plugs in the bottom of the ship so that the water will stay out of the ship. You see the land close by and you know you can swim and you're tired of the boat or the ship just tugging along and moving along slow. You want to hurry up and get to land. So you position some of your people at the edge of the ship. All of you can swim. You have a boat crowded with people, a lot of whom can't swim. And you position one of your persons by the plug. And you pull the plug, tell your folk it's time, y'all swim away. And maybe out of 100, you and 9 of your friends are able to swim to shore, and you let the other 90 drown because you're tired of bumping along in a slow-moving boat because of the plugs in the bottom. Maybe there's a way for the 10 of you, along with the 90, to figure out a way to speed up the boat so that everybody can live, everybody can eat, and everybody can get to shore. But no, that's not your thinking. You're just concerned about me, my 4, and no more. And see, that's the problem. Vouchers may help your child in the short term. But when public education becomes babysitting service, and the whole fabric of our community deteriorates more, you're going to be one of the first ones to talk about what the schools aren't doing, not looking at the fact that you helped it because you helped to support vouchers. Time for me to go. Just want to put that on your mind. And as I go, brother, man, sister, woman, young boy, young girl, put your mind in gear and put your thinking cap on. Peace.
Hi, I'm Deidre Malone, the host of Dialogue with Deidre. You can find us on the M1 TV network on YouTube, Subscribe and follow us. You can also find us on Facebook at M1 TV Network, Twitter, M1 TV Network 2, and Instagram, M1 TV Network 2. Please follow us so you can keep up to date with what's going on the M1 TV Network with Dialogue with Deidre and Black Thought.
Did you say Facebook?
I think I did.
Okay. Okay, cool.
Okay.